Okay, in this video I'm going to show you the name of the fourth beast and final kingdom. It's Leviathan, and I'll prove it to you through scripture. It's the beast that was, yet is not, yet is. Let me go to the very bottom first, then I'll work my way back up. Psalm 74:13. Thou didst break the head, thou didst divide the sea, and by the strength thou breakest the heads of the dragons in the waters. Isaiah 27:1. In that day the Lord with his sore and great and strong sword shall punish Leviathan, the piercing serpent, even Leviathan, that crooked serpent, and he shall slay the dragon that is in the sea. The strong sword is the sword of his mouth in Revelation 19. Ezekiel 29:4. Speak and say, Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I am against thee, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, the great dragon that lieth in the midst of the rivers, which has said, My river is my own, and I have made it for myself. But I will put hooks in thy jaws, and I will cause the fish of thy river to stick unto thy scales, and I will bring thee up out of the midst of thy rivers, and all the fish of thy rivers shall stick unto thy scales. The fish are people, and you'll see in a minute. And I will leave thee thrown into the wilderness, thee and all the fish of thy rivers. Thou shalt fall upon the open fields, thou shalt not be brought together, nor gathered. I have given thee for meat to the beasts of the field, and to the fowls of heaven. This is the supper of the great God of Revelation chapter 19, when Jesus comes back in power and great glory, riding on the white horse. And I'll show you right here. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, on his head were many crowns, and he had the name written that no man knew, but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God. And the armies which were in heaven followed him, white horses clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and he shall treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty God. And he had on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, Come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great God, that ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, small and great. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth, and there were armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse, and against his army. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet, that wrought miracles before him. By the way, this is Behemoth. The false prophet is Behemoth, the beast that comes out of the earth. With each he deceived them that had the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image, and both were cast alive into the lake of fire burning with brimstone. And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceeded out of his mouth, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh. This is the same verse that we just saw in Ezekiel 29. Leviathan. This is when he slays Leviathan. Now, because thy rage against me, Isaiah 37:29, because thy rage against me and thy torment is come up into my ears, therefore I will put my hook in thy nose, and my bridle in thy lips, and I will turn thee back the way which thou camest. This is the army in the book of Joel, the locust, or also known as the locust from the bottomless pit, the mighty men of old, men of renown. And just this wordage right here, he puts the hooks in his nose and the bridle in his lips and turns him. Now, you'll see where this comes up again right here in the book of Job. First, I'll read the Job 40 and then get into Leviathan in 41. Behold now, Behemoth, This is the false prophet, the beast that comes out of the earth, which I made with thee. He eateth grass as an ox. Looks like a lamb. Lo, his strength is in his loins, and his force is in his navel, the navel of his belly. Speaks like a dragon from down deep. Only he that made him can make his sword to approach unto him. The two-edged sword, false prophet and the beast, get cast into the lake of fire. Now here's Job 41. Canst thou draw out Leviathan with a hook, or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down? Canst thou put a hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with a thorn? Will he make many supplications unto thee? Will he speak soft words unto thee? Will he make a covenant with thee? There's the covenant that he ends up breaking. Wilt thou take him for a servant forever? Wilt thou play with him as with a bird, or wilt thou bind him for thy maidens? Shall the companions make a banquet of him? Shall they part him amongst the merchants? Canst thou fill his skin with barbed irons, or his head with fish spears? Lay thy hand upon him, remember the battle, and do no more. Behold, the hope of him is in vain. Shall not one be cast down even at the sight of him? Daniel 8:10. And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host of heaven of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. None is so fierce that dare stir him up. Who then is able to stand before me? Who hath prevented me that I should repay him? Whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine. I will not conceal his parts, nor his power, nor his comely portions. Who can discover the face of his garment, or who can come to him with a double bridle? Who can open the doors of his face? His teeth are terrible round about. Daniel 7:19. Exceedingly dreadful beast, whose teeth were of iron and nails of brass. His scales, this is his army, are his pride, shut up together as with a closed seal. One is so near to another that no air can come between them. They are joined one to another. They stick together that they cannot be sundered. Joel 2:7. They shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war. They shall march every one on his ways, and they shall not break their ranks. Neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk every one in his path. And when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. Right here, when he's describing the scales to Job of Leviathan, he is talking about the army of locusts in Joel chapter 2. By his neesing a light does shine, and his eyes are the eyelids of the morning. Out of his mouth go burning lamps, and sparks of fire leap out. Out of his nostrils goeth smoke, as out of the seething pot or cauldron. His breath kindleth coals, and a flame goeth out of his mouth. Joel chapter 2, same army, locusts, mighty men of old, men of renown. A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as a garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them. His neck remaineth his strength, and sorrow is turned to joy before him. The flakes of his flesh are joined together, and they are firm in themselves, and they cannot be moved. His heart is as firm as a stone, yea, as hard as another millstone. They will not esteem the old or the young. When he raiseth himself up, the mighty are afraid. By reason of breakings they purify themselves. Jeremiah 4:19, the army. My bowels, I am pained at my very heart. My heart maketh a noise in me. I cannot hold my peace, because thou hast heard, O my soul, the sound of the trumpet, the alarm of war. This is the army of locusts coming to Jerusalem. The sword of him that layeth at him cannot hold. The spear, the dart, nor the whatever that word is. He esteemeth iron as straw, and brass as rotten wood. Joel chapter 2. When they fall upon the sword, they will not be wounded. The arrow cannot make him flee. Sling stones are turned with him into stubble. Darts are counted as stubble. He laugheth at the shaking of a spear. Sharp stones under him. He spreadeth sharp pointed things upon the myrrh. He maketh the deep to boil like a pot. He maketh the sea like a pot of ointment. He maketh the path to shine after him. One would think the deep to be hoary. That means silver. Upon the earth there is not the like who is made without fear. Daniel 7:19. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all other beasts, exceedingly dreadful. Upon the earth there is not his like. Nothing in the world like him. Diverse. And behold, he beholdeth all high things. He is king over all the children of pride. So Leviathan itself, the head is the king. This is the rider on the red horse, the second seal rider. Apollyon, the king over the abyss, which is also Satan. This is Antichrist. This king is Antichrist. The army is the scales of Leviathan. And you can tell by the way they march. The two combined are basically the most horrible thing you could possibly imagine. Anyway, I'll go back up to the top now and go back over everything that I've already went over again, just so we can clarify things. Oh, and I did want to show you something new, something else that the Lord showed me. Once I get back to the top here, I'm sorry. Okay. So right here, I didn't even realize that I'd looked at it a million times. Revelation, so here's the beast. That's the city that sits upon the kingdom, the beast. Revelation 17:3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast. So now we know it's red. Revelation 13:2. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. This is when it comes out of the sea in Revelation chapter 13. So now we know it's red and it's patterned like a leopard, which is where they got this picture. And I keep trying to explain to everybody that this beast, the beast itself, is the army of locusts, also known as the mighty men, men of old, men of renown. Now watch this. It was right in front of me the whole time. Zechariah 1:8. And I saw by night, and behold, a man riding upon a red horse. There's the second seal rider. And he stood amongst the myrtle trees. These myrtle trees are people. They're not trees. That's the iron mixed with miry clay in Daniel's vision. That were in the bottom, miry in the myrrh, miry clay, the filthy clay. And behind him were there red horses, speckled and white. And right there is the beast in which the city sits on, right in front of us. And it's the army of locusts led out of the pit. This rider on a red horse is Apollyon. Revelation 6:4. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon, to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. Ezekiel 33 tells you that the sword is an army. Okay. So we'll simplify everything. Beast means kingdom. The locusts are a nation or an army of fierce people. The harlot in Revelation chapter 17 is Mystery Babylon, a great city that was, and all three of them are, that was, it's the beast that was, yet is not, yet is. And all three will rise out of the abyss at the same time, out of the sea. Leviathan is the beast, the dragon that lives in the sea. The city is surrounded by 7 mountains. That is 7 continents. It's not literal mountains. Continents are mountains that rise out of the ocean. When the pit or the abyss opens up, the locust and the kingdom and that great city that sits upon it rise out of the sea, and those whose names are not written in the Lamb's Book of Life from the foundation of the world, the miry clay spoken of by Daniel, will marvel after it. And here, I'll scroll through really slow. This is most of the Bible verses you can go back and read yourself. I do want everyone to go back and check them because you can see it. That way you'll see it for yourself. And this is the general rule of thumb that I read the Bible by, because this is actually how the Bible tells you to read the Bible. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little. So Genesis chapter 6, the beast that was, yet is not, yet is. And my personal comments, as always, are in blue. And there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men, and they bare them children. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. So they're half angel, born into sinful flesh. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination and thoughts of his heart were only evil continuously. Paul says the same thing in Romans chapter 1:21, which we'll get to in a minute. Daniel 7:19, then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all other beasts, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron and his nails of brass. See Jeremiah 6:28. You will see that army, it tells you that army is iron and brass. The fourth beast, final kingdom, Leviathan, which devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with his feet. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse, Leviathan, none like it, from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, the final kingdom, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. This is the daughters of men. This is a repeat of Genesis chapter 6. But they shall not cleave to one another, even as iron is not mixed with miry clay. Joel chapter 2. A great people, a strong people, there have never been the like. The exact same wordage that God just used in the book of Job describing Leviathan. Neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. There's never been one like it, and there's never going to be another one like it again. Diverse from all other beasts. And then the next verse you'll see where it's actually treading down and devouring the whole earth. Joel chapter 2:3. A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is a garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them. Devoured the whole earth. And that's the sudden destruction Paul warns about in 1 Thessalonians 5:3, which I will get to that too. You guys just have to bear with me. The earth shall quake before them, break in pieces. Daniel's vision. The heaven shall tremble, and the sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. Daniel's vision of the fourth beast is diverse from all kingdoms. It shall devour the whole earth, tread it down, break it into pieces. It has teeth of iron and nails of brass. Book of Joel, the army, the mighty men of old, also known as locusts. Jeremiah chapter 6. We have heard the fame thereof. Our hands wax feeble. Anguish has taken hold of us, and pain as a woman in travail. Fame means renown. The definition of fame: the state of being known or talked about by many people, especially on account of notable achievements. Renown. They are all grievous revolters. Jeremiah 28. Walking with slanderers. They are brass and iron. There's the brass nails and the iron teeth of the fourth kingdom right there in this army. Lo, I will bring a nation upon you from afar, O house of Israel, saith the Lord, a mighty nation, an ancient nation before the flood. That ancient nation means men of old, men of renown. A nation whose language thou shalt not knowest, neither shalt thou understand what they say. Their quiver is an open scepter. They are all mighty men. Joel chapter 1:6. For a nation is come up out of the abyss upon my land, strong and without number, whose teeth are the teeth of a lion, and he has the cheek teeth of a great lion. Now this is about to show you in Romans chapter 1, Paul explains to you what these sons that were born to the angels did to themselves. Remember, the thing that has been done is the thing that will be done. There's nothing new under the sun. They were worshiping these creatures before the flood, and they're going to worship them again during the tribulation, and I'll show you. Because that when they, pre-flood, knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Evil continuously, Genesis chapter 6:5. That's what Paul's quoting from. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into the image made like that of corruptible man, birds, four-footed beasts, and creeping thing. That's why the locusts from the bottomless pit have the mouth of a lion, the face of a man, the tail of a scorpion, and wings like the sound of chariots. And they worshipped and served the creature more than the Creator. And that's where they were worshiping the beast before the flood, and they're going to do it again in the future. Revelation 13:4. And they worshiped the dragon which gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who can make war with him? When they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. You cannot make war with something that you cannot wound. Again, that's Leviathan. Revelation chapter 9. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven and unto the earth, and to him was given the key to the bottomless pit. And the pit opened, and he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose smoke out of the pit like the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them were given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God on their foreheads. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should torment 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. And in those days men shall seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle. See that right there? There's the horses. They're sitting on horses. And on their heads as if it were crowns like gold, because the dragon gives them his power, seat, and great authority. That's why they have something like a crown on their head. And they had hair as the hair of a woman, and teeth were as the teeth of a lion. And they had breastplates, as it were breastplates of iron, and the sounds of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had a king over them. This is the head of Leviathan, the one that actually received the wound but did live, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but the Greek tongue hath the name Apollyon. Revelation 13. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast, Leviathan, and the kingdom, rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the names of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth were as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, seat, and great authority. Remember the crowns on top of their heads. Revelation chapter 9. And the shapes of the locusts like were unto horses prepared to battle. On their heads were crowns like gold. And the dragon gave them his power, seat, and great authority. Revelation 6:3. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard a second beast say, Come and see. And there went out a horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. There was given unto him a great sword. That's the army. Revelation chapter 9. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven into the earth, and to him there was given the key to the bottomless pit. That's to the great sword. And then once again, it just goes back into, and remember, the beast that rises up out of the sea has 7 heads. Leviathan has multiple heads. Now here's the warning I wanted to show you guys. So Proverbs chapter 7. Remember, he makes a covenant, and then God even points out, will you make a covenant with Leviathan? Well, the answer would be no, because Leviathan's just going to break it. But here's where the great city mystery Babylon, the harlot, comes into play, and this is the warning from Proverbs chapter 7. My son, keep my words and lay up my commandments with thee. Keep my commandments and live, and my law as the apple of my eye. Bind them upon thy fingers, write them upon the table of thy heart. Say unto wisdom, thou art my sister. Call understanding thy kinswoman, that they may keep thee from the strange woman, that's mystery Babylon, from the stranger which flattereth with her words. For at the window of my house I looked through the casement, and I beheld among the simple ones, I discerned amongst the youths, a young man void of understanding, passing through the street near her corner, and he went the way to her house. In the twilight, in the evening, in the black of night, and behold, there met him a woman, with the attire of a harlot, and subtle of heart. She is loud and stubborn. Her feet abide not in her house. Now is she without, now in the streets, and lieth in wait at every corner. So she caught him and kissed him with an impudent face, said unto him, I have peace offerings with me. This day I pay my vows. Therefore I came forth to meet thee diligently, and seek thy face, and I have found thee. I have decked my bed with coverings of tapestry and carved works of fine linen of Egypt. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let us take our fill of love until the morning. Let us solace ourselves with loves. For the good man is not at home. He is gone on a long journey. This is Jesus. He hath taken a bag of money. Remember, he says, behold, I come quickly, and my rewards come with me. That's the bag of money. And will come home at the day appointed. With her much fair speech she caused him to yield. With the flattering of her lips she forced him. He goeth after her straightway as an ox goeth to the slaughter, or as a fool to the corrections of the stocks, till a dart strike through the liver, as a bird hasteth to the snare. Remember the snare that will come upon the whole earth, the great deception, the hour of temptation that we'll be delivered from. It's mystery Babylon. Hearken unto me now, therefore, O children, and attend to the words of my mouth. Let not thy heart decline to her ways. Go not astray in her paths. For she has cast down many wounded, yea, many strong men have been slain by her. Her house is the way to hell, going down to the chambers of death. Because thou hast kept my word, the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation which shall come upon all the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as an eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land. These are the locusts again. And because the locust is what causes the third seal famine. Because at this point, after they've devoured the whole earth, and thou shalt eat the fruit of thy own body, the flesh of thy sons and thy daughters. The warning from Luke 23:28. Weep not for me, but weep for yourselves and your children, for the days are coming, in which they shall say, Blessed are the barren, and the wombs that never bare, and the paps that never gave suck. The noise of the multitudes in the mountain, like a great people, a timorous people, a noise of kingdoms, a nation gathered together. The Lord of hosts mustereth the hosts of battle. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, to destroy the whole land. As a woman in travail. Again, all this, everything that occurs from Joel, Deuteronomy, Isaiah, Jeremiah, and I think that's got all of them. Joel, Deuteronomy, Isaiah, and Jeremiah. They're all talking about this same event. This is when the army of locusts, Leviathan, is sent out, and this is after he breaks his covenant. This is when the man of sin is actually revealed. They make a covenant with him, and he breaks the covenant. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. He that walketh righteously and speaketh uprightly, and that despiseth the gain of oppression, and shaketh his hands from the holding of bribes, and stoppeth his ears from the hearing of blood, and shutteth his eyes from the seeing of evil, he shall dwell on high. His place of defense shall be the munitions of rocks. Bread shall be given him, and his waters shall be sure. Thy eyes shall see the king in his beauty. They shall behold the land that is very far off. Thou shalt not see a fierce people, a people of deeper speech that thou cannot perceive, or a stammering tongue that thou cannot understand. The locust from the bottomless pit, Leviathan, the beast from the sea. And this right here is just to show you that the myrtle trees in Zechariah chapter 1 are people. Luke 21:29, and he spake unto them a parable. Behold, the fig trees and all the trees. These are the myrtle trees in Zechariah chapter 1:8. Again, right here. The myrtle trees are the people, the clay. And what you're seeing here in Zechariah chapter 1, it's the iron mixed with miry clay. And here it is again, iron mixed with miry clay. I think that's covered everything that I can think of off the top of my head. So let me go over this again in my own words. So the pit is going to open up. I'm pretty sure that there is a period of time that we're going to have to go through. We're actually going to see these things. That's why Peter said, gird up the loins of your mind. And Paul said in Thessalonians, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day will not come until the great falling away happens first. And this is exactly what will cause the great falling away. You've got a city that is technologically advanced beyond anything we've ever seen, and it's the earthly version of heavenly Jerusalem that Satan established back in Genesis. Look at this. Look at the description of both of them. So she's covered in precious stones and pearls, and decked with purple and scarlet. So this city's gonna have purple and scarlet banners hanging off of it. She has precious stones, and she's covered in precious stones and pearls. She sits on a kingdom that has the names of blasphemy written all over it. They were worshiping these things before the flood, which means they have the name of false gods. What those names are, I'm not sure, but I've got a feeling that we're probably going to recognize some of them when this thing rises back out of the abyss. Heavenly Jerusalem. It's covered in precious stones and pearls, and it has the name of the 12 apostles written on the foundations of it. So this is the earthly version, and it's going to offer you every earthly pleasure. That's why in Revelation chapter 20, when Mystery Babylon is finally destroyed, they are howling and lamenting. They were just beside themselves because they just lost all the goodly things that this city gave them. And that is part of the covenant, the peace agreement. When the pit first opens up, they torment men for 5 months, and that is where the peace and safety covenant comes into play. He makes a covenant with everybody, and he's going to say, hey guys, we're going to get along really good, peace and safety. And he's going to break his covenant 3.5 years into it, in the midst of the week. So anyway, point is, and that's actually when the wrath starts getting poured out. Again, that's speculation on my part. I can see it playing out exactly that way, and everything that I've shown you, I did not come up with it on my own. I'm reading, and the Lord's been pointing it out to me, and I feel obligated to share every bit of it with you guys. Take it to the Lord. Read the verses yourself. Come to your own conclusions. Let the Holy Spirit guide you. Don't just take my word for it. But I hope this is a blessing to you. I hope you understand when Jesus said a time of trouble such as there never was since the earth began. He's actually, you literally have to factor in that he destroyed the earth with a flood once. And he's telling you that it's going to be worse than that. And these are the things this is actually what's coming upon the whole earth. This is the beast that was, yet is not, yet is. This is the true identity of it. It's been right there in front of us in the scriptures this whole time. Please, by no means, let no man deceive you. For that day will not come until there come a great falling away first, and many will betray one another. Stay rooted in the Word. Absolutely stay rooted in the Word. And be safe. God bless all y'all. I love you guys. Bye-bye.